Hi, welcome back to Bava Kama Daf Vav Amud Aleph. We're going to go through the very top of Vav Amud Bet. Rav Ada bar Ava Amar. Rav Ada bar Ava says, and I'll remind you that we're talking about cases that you can only learn from the Tzad HaShaveh in the Mishnah. In other words, the Gemara is explaining to us why the Mishnah needed to give us that information about how there's a Tzad HaShaveh between different cases. And we already had two suggestions, two cases, which were both accepted, of cases where you would only understand that you're chayav for nezek in those cases by understanding this tzad hashaveh information. So Rav Ada bar Ava is going to give us a third case. La'atuye hadetanya, to include that which is taught in a Braita. So in other words, this tzad hashaveh information is coming to teach us, is coming to include another case, which was taught in a Braita. Kol elu she'amru potkin bibotehen v'gorfin ma'arotehen b'yamot hachama, ein lahem reshut b'yamot hagshemim. B'yamot hachama ein lahem reshut, sorry. So all those who, about whom it was said that they have permission to open their waste pipes or shovel out their septic pits into the Reshut Harabim, even though they were given permission, during the hot days, b'yamot hachama, they have no permission. So in other words, people had septic tanks, people had waste pits or waste pipes, and they might be given permission, they might have permission to shovel those out into the public domain. But even when they had permission, this permission did not apply during the hot time of the year, for reasons that you could probably imagine. I'm going to say that all of this is an answer. It's an answer to the issue of what cases this comes to include. And of course, I won't highlight the whole thing in red, because I understand that's sometimes hard to read, but I'll just put the Detanya in red. And this is all the Braita. B'yamot hagshemim yesh lahem reshut. But in the rainy days, they do have permission. This permission does apply. Afal pi shebereshut im heziku chayavim l'shalem. But even though they're doing it with permission, even though they're shoveling this waste into the public domain, which seems like a very bad idea, with permission, if it does do damage, they're still chayav. So you might think that because they have permission to do this from the municipality or whatever, they wouldn't get in trouble if they cause damage, but that's not actually the case. That's the end of the Braita. Heichidami, what's the case? Literally, what is this like? But the question is, what's the case? What are we talking about exactly? I'm going to put this in red because that's a question. If the waste does damage, mazke, if it does damage while it's moving, kochohu, then that is its own strength. That's its own strength of movement. And it falls closer to the Mave category, right? It can move on its own. Ella batar denayach. Rather, it must be that it's after it already came to rest. So we'll put that in dark red. It's part of the question. Ella batar denayach. No, it must be after it came to rest. That's the answer. Heichidami. What's the case exactly? Gemara is still not satisfied. Ida afkarinhu, if this means that you made it hefker, right? If that's what Rav Ada bar Ava is thinking, you made the waste hefker, bein l'Rav, bein l'Shmuel, hainu bor. Then whether for Rav or Shmuel, that's bor either way. It's identical with bor. It's not a new case that we need to learn out from the tzad hashaveh. Ma'ishna bor d'tchilat asiyato l'nezek umamoncha ushmirato alecha haninami d'tchilat asiyatan l'nezek umamoncha ushmiratan alecha. Right? We've seen this formulation before. What's the difference between bor, where initially it's created and can do damage, and it's your property and you're responsible for watching it? And the same is true with this. So there's really no difference. Oh, it opened up a new window. Okay, we'll go back to there. Ella delo afkarinu. Rather, it must be that you didn't make it hefker. L'shmuel da'amar kula miboro lamadnu. But even if you didn't make it hefker, for Shmuel, who says we learn everything from bor, we learn everything that's left out from bor, hainu bor, right? It would still be bor. So we really haven't. This is sort of yet another part of this question, we still haven't found how Rav Ada bar Ava is suggesting a case that's new and different and required the Tzad HaShaveh to teach it. So far, this case of shoveling out the septic pits looks the same as bor no matter how you slice it. La'olam daf karinu. No, it must be that you made the waste hefker, v'lo dami labor, and it's actually not similar to bor. Ma labor sheken shelo bereshut, tomar bahani de bereshut, because it's not similar to bor, lo dami labor, because a pit you dug without permission. And these pits are a special case. They're a different case. They needed to be taught separately, or you needed to learn them out from this Tzad HaShaveh, because these pits, don't forget, were shoveled out with explicit permission. These septic tanks were released with permission. Shor yochiach. So you can prove it from shore, maybe. You can learn it from shore. Malo shor sheken dar kol elechu lahazik. But then, right, maybe it's like shore because shore is chayev for keren. I'm going to actually put in a dash instead. Right? Shore is chayev for keren, even though it goes out with permission. But then malo shor sheken dar kol elech v'lahazik. But a shore can actually go and do damage. Bor tochiach, right? And the waste can't travel, or not of its own power. Bor tochiach v'chazar hadin. So maybe you could learn it from bor, but we already learned bor is dug without permission, and this is done with permission. V'chazar hadin. So we're back where we started, meaning we did a good job, right? This is actually, Rav Ada bar Ava's right. This case of the septic tanks being shoveled out, that's actually a case where you're chayev for nezek. And the Mishnah teaches us that, but you wouldn't have known it you wouldn't have been able to learn it from a single category. We learn it from the overlap between shor and bor from the Tzad HaShaveh. Okay, we'll pause there.